Tēnā koe, call Gareth Hughes.
Kia ora, Mr. Speaker, ngā mihi o te wiki o te reo Māori, kia tātou katoa. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this common sense, non-controversial, technical bill. Mr. Speaker, the Green Party supports ultra-fast broadband. We see it as a key plank in modern 21st century infrastructure for a modern digital economy. This is the key platform for which the digital companies can be exporting. We can be having video conferencing around the world. Game creators in their garage can be exporting their products around the world. We believe in a digital nation. This is like how our ancestors used to invest in ports and railways. This is what our generation invests in as we try and deliver prosperity for future generations. Mr. Speaker, I believe we can be a digital nation. In fact, it's important that we embrace this opportunity. There's a limit to how many tourists we can cram into Fiordland. There's a limit to how many cows we can cram onto our paddocks. There's no limit to the software, the services, the intellectual property, the new products that we could be exporting around the world. There's simply no limit, and that's our future if we want a richer country. On this note, I'd like to acknowledge the small tinkering we saw from Minister Hekia Parata, one step towards that today with the tinkering to the curriculum around technology. And look, Mr. Speaker, I couldn't put it better than the CEO of Orion Health, who today, in response, said, after 6 years of waiting, a 12-month review process, 7 months of deliberation by Minister Hekia Parata and her ministry, all there is to show for it some minor changes, including a pledge for more consultation. We are light years away from that digital nation that we could be, where we're growing those high-value jobs, delivering those higher-value exports, but instead we're cramming tourists into Fiordland and we're cramming cows on paddocks. And the ultra-fast broadband, while something we've seen unanimity across this House in supporting, I won't be as so charitable as some of the previous speakers on the government's responsibility. It's pretty hard to oppose the government investing $1.35 billion in broadband, but you only have to see the front page of the New Zealand Herald today to see the shoddy process of Stephen Joyce and rolling out the ultra-fast broadband. Now, I feel sorry for Minister Adams, because this isn't the only time that Stephen Joyce has left a mess for some other minister to clean up. He was quite happy to get the headlines, as he always does, with the initial investment, but the actual details, the technical process, is left for another minister to clean up. And you only have to go on to Geek Zone or Property Talk or Reddit to see it's not just a litany, it is pages and pages of problems that people have actually connecting to this critical piece of national infrastructure. Now, it's great that we're finally getting around to dealing with a small segment of the problem, which is those shared access and multi-dwelling units, but we all know it's longer than that. Mr. Speaker, I grew up in New Zealand in the 80s where there was this constant myth that it took 6 weeks to get a telephone connected, and how horrible and Polish shipyard was it to take 6 weeks. You know what ultra-fast broadband connections are taking? Longer than that. I've had someone in the ISP sector who's saying at the end of this year, as the connections ramp up, we could be looking at 3 months for someone to get connected. Because of the roundabouts, the toing and throwing, the days off work people have to take to finally get connected, and the government's deluding itself as if they think it's simply a problem of shared access and multi-unit dwellings. But this is the problem we have before us in this bill. We support it because it's some pretty common sense changes, and this is exactly what I mean. Some pretty common sense changes that Stephen Joyce couldn't have considered years ago. Some pretty common sense changes like a dispute resolution body that Stephen Joyce could have included in that bill, but instead he decided to ram it through the Parliament as fast as he could, and now Minister Adams is having to clean it up. Now, as we talk about cleaning up the mess, Mr. Speaker, I would actually like to question the current minister, because I know that this is something that's been on the table for more than 4 years. Why has it taken more than 4 years to finally get this issue resolved? It was entirely foreseeable that we would see problems with shared access, multi-unit dwellings, having no disputes resolution process. It was patently clear we would have these problems down the line. And sure, while we support these pretty common sense pragmatic solutions. Why on earth has it taken so long? And for those people on the front page of the paper, for those people who have to vent that they've taken days off work, the person hasn't come round, the official application form's been lost somewhere in the Byzantine bureaucratic's internal dwellings of chorus. Why has it taken so long? 4 years to finally get to this point where we're finally putting a first reading of a bill there. So look, we support the technical changes around the Telecommunications Development Levy. We support the changes around UFB2, pretty uncontroversial. We think the mix the Minister's reached in terms of the Category 1, 2 and apartments is pragmatic. It's hard to find the most elegant solution that won't annoy someone, but I think she has found the mix. Our criticism that it's taken so long, it wasn't foreseen. And once again, we're debating the problems. I remember the UFB amendment bill. We're debating the problems, trying to retrospectively fix problems that could have been foreseen. We aren't taking the opportunities to build a digital nation, to make sure we're teaching our kids the right skills in school, make sure we're actually finally now teaching our trainee teachers to use digital technology, that we're encouraging coding in our schools, we're encouraging familiarisation and experimentation and the new products to be created in new technologies like additive manufacturing, 3D printing, that we're not debating the huge opportunities we have from the space industry, for example, with rocket labs. No, once again, the New Zealand Parliament late at night is trying to fix up a mess which was entirely foreseeable. So I won't be as charitable as the Labour Party members tonight, Mr. Speaker. We support the bill, but look, let's do better as a country. Let's build that digital nation.
Mr. Speaker.
Tracy Martin.